On this edition of Early Look, I'm going to be previewing the UFC Paris main event, pitting two of the top middleweights in the division in Nassourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho. My name is James Lynch. If you've never watched the show before, I'm going to go through a bunch of different stats, a bunch of different intangibles. Then I'm going to give you my pick for this fight at the end and my prediction. Would love to hear your prediction after you're done watching this. We're going to go through a bunch of different stuff like I mentioned, and you let me know in the comments which way you're leaning on this fight like we usually do. Let's do a quick tail of the tape. Imavov, 16-4. Caio Borralho, 17-1, 29-32, 6'3" to 6'1", 75-75. So they get the same reach advantage. Imavov is a little bit younger and he'll be a little bit taller in this spot. And forgot to mention, this is going to be taking place in Paris as part of a pretty good fight night card at the Accor Arena. 5-round fight for this main event. Let's start first with Imavov in the main event. I mentioned it there. He is 16-4 in his career. He's got 7 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 5 decisions. He is 29 years old, 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. So he'll be 3 years younger and have a 2-inch height advantage in this spot. He's currently ranked number 1 in the middleweight division, and he trains with Nicolas Ott, in Paris, and also does some training over there at Killcliff. Imavov did not have an amateur debut, went straight to the pros way back in February of 2016, made his UFC debut in October of 2020, and has amassed a 7-2 UFC record. He's also got 1 no contest. He's got 3 stoppage victories. Some notable wins for Imavov include Edmund Shabazian, who's ranked at one time, Joaquin Buckley, Roman Dolidze, Jared Cannonier, Brendan Allen, and most recently Israel Adesanya. He's only the second fighter in the UFC to knock out Israel Adesanya, so very impressive feat there. And that, as you can see, earned him Performance of the Night bonus. His losses are a little bit interesting here. Lost to Phil Haas in a majority decision loss. Talk about that a little bit later. And then lost to Sean Strickland in a light heavyweight fight. People forget that was short notice. It was supposed to be Kelvin Gastelum. In steps in Sean Strickland from Vegas. And he ends up moving up a weight class and losing a decision in that one. So that's an interesting fight that took place there. Imavov, pretty active. No major layoffs, no major injuries. He's been pretty consistent here. Let's talk about that Phil Haas fight. Kind of one of those weird anomaly fights that happened back in the day. If you go look right now in MMA Decisions, which is the website where the media can submit their scorecards. If you look at Phil Haas' win over Imavov, it was a majority decision win. Most people did feel like Haas won that fight, so they had him winning 29-28, 2 people scoring it a draw, and 3 media members scoring it for Imavov. One of those blips. I'm sure if they rematch now, Nassourdine Imavov is probably taking that fight, but do have to point out that he has a loss in the UFC, and that was to Imavov. Also had that no contest against Chris Curtis that I referenced. That was at the UFC Vancouver card. Just quickly talk about that. That was a fight where, if you watch it, Imavov was dominating the fight. Ended up in a no contest in the second round, but was looking very good in that fight, and that was back in June of 2023. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about Nassourdine Imavov. I mentioned it there. 7 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 5 decisions. Now let's talk about his opponent, Caio Borralho, who's got a big opportunity here. Both guys do, actually. The winner of this fight, potentially, at the time of recording this, will be fighting the winner of Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. We'll see how that one goes. So you can see there, Caio Borralho, 17-1 record. He's got 5 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 8 decisions. He's 32 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. So like I mentioned there, same reach as Imavov, 32 years old and 6'1", so a little bit shorter and going to be a little bit older than Imavov. He trains out of the Fighting Nerds, and he's currently ranked number 6 at middleweight. He's got Fight of the Night 1 time against Jared Cannonier. He's got Performance of the Night 2 times against Michel Oleksiejczuk and Paul Craig. And he's got the 8th longest win streak in UFC middleweight division history at 7. Borralho did have an amateur debut, fought way back in June of 2014, made his pro debut later that year in December of 2014, and did not make his UFC debut until April of 2022. He had 2 fights in the Contender Series, got a win over Aaron Jeffrey, which is a win that has aged quite well. Jeffrey, a pretty good fighter outside the UFC, and then finished Jesse Murray in his second Contender Series fight. Actually fought just a month apart there, if you remember, back in 2021. Imavov is 7-0 in the UFC. He's got 2 stoppage victories, some notable wins. He doesn't have that many notable wins if you look at it there. Just Paul Craig and Jared Cannonier. Boots Magomedov, I guess he's ranked now. Maybe you could throw that in there. Oleksiejczuk's been in the UFC for a bit, but Petrosian, Gadzi, these are not quality wins in the weight class, but you got to fight who you're given. Kind of like Imavov, no major injuries or layoffs for Caio Borralho, and hasn't had any close fights. He's had a couple decisions here, but they were all pretty clear-cut for Caio in those fights. No question there as far as who won won that fight, so got to point that out too. Let's look at his stats. I actually forgot to do this for Imavov, so I'll do that after. But if you look at the stats here for Caio Borralho, he's significant strikes landed per minute is 3.61. His striking accuracy is at 60%. His striking defense is at 62%, so he doesn't get hit that much. It's a very high striking defense rate. His takedown average is 1.56. His takedown accuracy is at 60%. His takedown defense is at 76%, although I don't know if Imavov is going to take this to the ground, and the sub average is 0.5. Now compare that to Imavov. Imavov's got a much higher significant strikes landed per minute. He's at 4.45. His striking accuracy is at 55%. His striking defense is a little bit lower. It's at 58% compared to the 62 for Caio. His takedown average is only 0.85. His takedown accuracy is at 32%, and his takedown defense is at 78%. So pretty good at stuffing takedowns. We'll see if he can stuff any from Borralho. And then if you look at the odds right now, just one book has odds for this. They've got Imavov as a slight favorite at -150, Borralho at +110. And then on the picks for Tapology, you can do this for free, doesn't cost any money. Slight edge there to Imavov at 54% compared to 46 for Borralho. So which way am I leaning on this fight? This is a tough one, guys, because again, pretty even. If you look at, Imavov's got a few more losses. He's got a few more fights though, but Imavov's younger and he's going to be a little bit bigger in this spot. For a while, when this fight was first announced, I was leaning Caio Borralho, but the more I think about it, I think Imavov is going to get this one done, and here's why. Okay, a couple things. So first off, I think Imavov is going to win a decision here. I don't think he's going to finish Caio Borralho. A couple of reasons why. Caio's never been finished. Imavov has gone the distance in 6 of his 11 UFC fights. One of those was a no contest, that finish as well that he got, so don't really consider that a finish either. But again, that's, over 50% of his fights are going to a decision in the UFC, and part of that is the opposition he's fighting. Imavov's a little bit younger, and I think he's fought slightly better competition. So like I mentioned there, Caio Borralho, he's got wins over, Paul Craig, although, Craig at that time, a lot older. He's 36 at that time when Borralho fought him. Jared Cannonier a little bit older as well. So we haven't seen him fight kind of that in his prime guy yet. And so it's hard to say sort of where he fits. Imavov's also fought some older guys too. I mean, Israel Adesanya is not super young, but he finished him. He's only the second fighter I mentioned there to finish Israel Adesanya. So I think that's pretty impressive. Brendan Allen fight was pretty dominant. I thought he looked good in that one. And then he also fought Cannonier as well, but he finished him. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Roman Dolidze was a good win too. Again, older fighter, but still got it done. And then you look at his losses here. Other than Phil Hawes, again, I think 9 times out of 10, Imavov wins that fight. Lost to Sean Strickland in a fight that, again, last minute, up a weight class, don't really consider that. But there's some of these wins here that are finishes like Heinisch and Shabazian. So that's where I give a slight edge to Imavov in this fight. Again, I could see this being pretty close. Not to mention, this fight's in Paris, guys. So even if this fight doesn't end up being close, which I think it will be, the judges are probably going to favor Imavov on the scorecard simply for crowd noise and all that different stuff. You got to factor that in here. And like I said, I think Imavov's fought slightly better opposition when we're kind of breaking down the X's and O's. So again, close fight. Would not be shocked if Borralho pulls this one off, but I think you got to go with Imavov. Just a few little things. Like I said, the age, the opposition. I thought he looked pretty good in that last fight with Israel Adesanya, finishing him in that fight. Again, if there was, I didn't predict that. I think I thought Adesanya was going to win that fight, and Imavov finished him there. So I think you're seeing Imavov get a little bit better. There's also the school of thought that Imavov has improved since leaving Fernand Lopez and training with Nicholas Ott and also training at Killcliff. So he's evolving a little bit too. I'm just not seeing that with Caio Borralho. I thought the Cannonier win was good, but I just don't think we're seeing as much of a progression as we're seeing with Imavov. So that's where I give him the slight edge. So Nassourdine Imavov via decision is going to be my pick on this fight. So I'd like to know in the comments which way you're leaning. Are you taking Imavov or are you taking Caio Borralho? Let me know which way you're leaning on this one. I want to get your prediction for this fight. It's going to be a great fight night main event. We're looking forward to it against September 6th. That's where it's going to be taking place. My name is James Lynch. If there's any other fights that are coming up that you want me to preview early, would love to dig into it and do that. So just let me know in the comments if there's any fights you're interested. But just know most main events, most title fights that we'll be covering. That's all I got today. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram @LynchOnSports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.